So I've just received the RØde NT1 5th generation in the mail this morning. I seen some videos on this microphone yesterday and I was like, I'm instantly going to have to buy this one because they've took everything that's great about the RØde NT1 and they've added in a Revolution preamp and 32-bit float, and they're still charging pretty much the same price for it. This thing is going to be an absolute bargain for everything that you get included in its kind of £250 to £260 price. So today I'm just going to unbox the microphone and I'm going to do a quick test comparing it to a couple of other microphones. And then probably once I've been using it for a few days, I will come back with a full review with it, you know, tell you all my thoughts, everything I think about this microphone. It's a RØde mic. It's probably going to be awesome. You know, it's just the NT1, but jacked up. As always, I always seem to get boxes that are tatty. I mean, look, it's not even like it's been in a warehouse for that long. This thing only literally came out yesterday. 32-bit float. They even lowered the self-noise from 4.5 dB, which was already low enough, down to like 4 dBA as well. So yeah, really looking forward to testing this microphone out. Let's just get it out of the box. And we've got even more packaging here. Have a little look. Sorry, I need to get a better overhead mount because every time I move, the camera wobbles. And I am a little bit tight on space here. I feel that there are better ways to package your products, RØde. Although I'm going to really enjoy this unboxing experience, and hopefully you do as well. This isn't as bad as the NTG5, but I think you're using far too much packaging. I understand it's all card and it's recyclable, so that's great. But I don't know, I just feel like all of this could just come in a nice case. Something like that. It's not as many boxes as the NTG5. Sorry if I call this the NTH100 as well, because I feel like every time I think of RØde, I just think of those headphones that I bought that broke and weren't very good. What's this box? I think this is just a little filler box. No stickers so far. Andrew would be happy. So, I know you want to see the mic, but we need to look at the other stuff first. So let's have a look at the SM6 shock mount. You also get a pop filter with this as well. So there's a lot of stuff that they're including here. There's a little look at the shock mount. Be easier to show you this all once I've got all these boxes out the way. And there is the RØde shock mount as well. A little bit annoyed about the paint job going on the inside there. I know you're not going to ever see it, but still, it always makes you think about quality control. But these are solid shock mounts. I've been using these style RØde shock mounts for years. I've even got a video where I modify one of these to fit the Electro Voice RE20 and 320, so definitely check that one out. So it looks like the pop filter just screws into the front here. It's not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're on camera, but it goes in okay. I mean, if I wasn't on camera looking at multiple screens, then yeah, this would be all right. It's a nice big pop filter. And I do believe that this bit unscrews. Oh, and it pulls up as well. There we go. Nice. I prefer the one that used to come with the RØde NT1 kit with the mesh filter over this. This just looks a little bit janky to me, but it probably does a really good job. But yeah, definitely prefer the look of the mesh one. Now they've also included some cables as well, and it's nice that RØde's included all of those because I always feel like they take the Apple model. There's so many bits that they sell, and you just feel like you have to buy one extra accessory to make it the best product that you can. So there is a 3-meter USB-C cable, not braided, big con there, but it's 3 meters, so big plus there. So that should get you most of where you need to be. And there is also, I believe this is a 6-meter RØde XLR cable. Oh, and these are nitric ends as well. So that's almost like a 20-25 pound cable there with nitric ends on it. So that's a really good that it comes in the package as well. I mean, if you take all of these accessories included, you could pay 60-70 pounds for that alone if you just bought a microphone on its own. So let's have a look at the microphone. Still not there yet. Still not at the microphone. Do apologize. And that looks to be a RØde microphone little slip case to put your microphone in. And we are getting there. We are finally there. So it is available in black. I think the black looks nicer. So it's black with the silver top. This is like a silvery kind of gold. I don't know if my camera is quite showing it. It almost looks like there's a thin frosted layer all the way around this. Honestly, it looks a bit cheap. And maybe this is just because I'm used to having dynamic microphones. I have a lot of dynamic microphones. It feels a little bit light for a Rode mic. Okay, you can see there is a 1-inch capsule in there. Don't know if you can just catch that on camera. Doesn't seem like this bit unscrews. There are some screws here. Rode NT1 5th generation on the back. And then this is where we get the dual connect. So let's see if I can get a shot in there. So as you can see in the end there, you can see we've got the gold XLR connection, and then there is a USB-C connection as well. As you can see there, it fits in nice and tight. I don't know if you're going to see this in camera. Don't know if it will focus there, but it's nice and tight up against the pins. Now, what I would have really liked, because this is patent pending, this dual connect, they've called it, and I really hope that they make a cable that's XLR with a slightly protruding USB-C on it, so you could record to this 2 outputs. 32-bit float over USB-C with the built-in DSP that this microphone's got, and then XLR connection raw to an audio interface. Now, the big omission for me, the big thing missing, is there's no headphone jack on this. And I think that's a pretty poor mistake there. Other than that, same capsule as the Rode NT1. So we're talking 20 Hz to 20,000 kilohertz, 4 dB ASL noise, 142 dB max SPL. So even though it's got 32-bit float, you still need to watch out for your max XPL. If you go over that, then it would still clip, but still fantastic feature to be putting on there. And what's the sensitivity of this? Doesn't say, minus 32 dB. So this is going to be a very sensitive microphone. Revolution preamps as well. Same preamps that I use on my Rode Procaster 2. Well, that the Rode included in that, and they sound absolutely fantastic. So let's get this all wired up. Let's get it plugged in. Let's do a quick initial sound test for you to listen to. So you are now listening to the Rode NT1 5th generation large diaphragm condenser microphone. I am actually having a couple of issues with this microphone, and that is because this microphone was actually only available to reviewers at the moment. It's not supposed to be sold until the 28th. So one thing I noticed is that when I plugged it into USB-C, is that there's quite clearly a DSP preset on it, because I went to do my clap to sync all the audio up that I'm recording at the start of this video. So that's, you know, the camera audio, the Zoom F3, and potentially recording this microphone into a MacBook. And I noticed that the claps weren't being picked up on Adobe Audition, which is telling me that there's a noise gate on it. And when I'm clapping here, probably quite an aggressive noise gate set as a standard preset. Now, the issue with this is current at the moment, which should be sorted out next week. Like I said, this launches on the 28th. The problem that there is with it is that I'm unable to connect it to Rode Connect or Rode Central. So yeah, little bit annoyed that it actually turned up so early. I was happy that I got it like one day after the launch reviews, and now I wish it turned up next week, because it's quite clearly got a DSP preset on it. And it would have been really nice if there was some form of light on the microphone, so you would know that there is, you know, DSP running on the microphone, you know, so it's not just the omission of the headphone jack that I find a little bit odd here. So I did message Rode yesterday. They replied back to me on Facebook this morning and said basically, this microphone's not supposed to be sold yet. It's not supposed to be sold till next week. So check back on the 28th and the software should be there. So yeah, a little bit annoying, but at least it's going to be sorted within a few days. You know, it's not like they've given it a load of features and they said they're going to turn it on in a few months. But yeah, I really did want to test this first audio recording test with the USB-C connection, but I do think that the standard processing is a little bit too aggressive. So we will just have to test with XLR connection today, although that's going to be quite useful for this microphone test, because that means we're running all the mics through the same preamps, and we're actually going into a Zoom F3 at 32-bit float. Okay, so that's what we're recording in here. Now, I don't actually own any large diaphragm condenser microphones. I have had quite a few in the past, but because I've never really had the treated space to really take full advantage of them, it's just something that I haven't really invested too much in. You know, I'm always up to test one and listen to them, but it's not something that I stockpile for my setup. But one thing I do have is quite a lot of small diaphragm pencil condenser microphones. So I thought we would test the Rode NT1 against my cheapest pencil condenser microphone and my most expensive one. So right now you are listening to the Samson C02 supercardioid pencil condenser microphone. This microphone's available for £50 as a single microphone or £100 in a dual set. I actually picked up a single one for £35, and I have it in this really cool shock mount that I got from Thomann, which has a nice little pop filter on the end of this microphone. Now both of these microphones are running with a 60 Hz high pass filter. I just like to cut a little bit of that rumble out, but other than that you're hearing pretty much raw unprocessed audio. For me, the Samson C02 is probably one of the best bang for buck microphones that you can buy for YouTube, especially if you want something that's small and discreet, whether it's in frame or if you're booming it out the frame. And for its price, I think it's a really nice sounding microphone. I think the top end can sound a little artificial at times, and I do like to kind of back it down a little bit. Certain voices it is going to sound a little bit sibilant, but for £50 there's not really a lot of complaints to make, but there are probably two that you could make. The first thing is that, especially when you're using it at a bit more distance, you do have to crank your preamps quite a bit, not quite to dynamic levels, but if you were buying a cheap microphone and then you were buying a cheap audio interface, you're probably going to introduce some of that preamp noise. So I used to use with this a Fethead, but the Phantom version. Now the second problem with this microphone is obviously it's got very high self noise. I think it's 24 dBA, but if I'm being honest, it sounds quite a bit higher than that. I've had microphones with similar self noise levels and this has always sound much more hissier. So let's just test this out. Let's test out the noise floor, because this RØde NT1 5th generation only has 4 dBA self noise. So you're hearing me on the RØde NT1 at the second. This is me now talking directly into the RØde NT1, and then we're just going to be quiet for a few seconds. And now this is me back on the Samson C02 pencil condenser microphone, and now I'm just going to be quiet for a few seconds. I'm sure you're going to be able to hear it. I can't remember which microphone I was speaking on last, so just in case it was the Samson, here's just a quick little palette cleanser on the RØde NT1 large diaphragm studio condenser microphone, which costs about £250. And now you are listening to my most expensive microphone. This is the Schoeps CMC1 MK41 supercardioid small diaphragm condenser microphone, which costs about £1,400. Now I'm hoping that you hear some differences between these two microphones, because the RØde is tuned with a little bit of bass, a little bit of something down there in the bottom, and then a little bit of sparkle in the top end, whereas the Schoeps microphone is dead flat. It's like a blank canvas, which is kind of why I purchased this microphone, because I really wanted something that I can use when I record other people that is just ridiculous quality and dead flat. And I love the sound of this little Schoeps microphone, and it really allows you to bend it and shape it into the sound that you want. But when you're listening to the raw audio, sometimes it could sound flat. That's what it could sound like, as the RØde is going to sound like it's got a little bit of character to it, you know, just going to sound like it's a little bit more fuller. But I absolutely love the sound of this Schoeps microphone. Now this one comes in at 14 dBA of self noise, which is still, you know, 10 dB higher than the RØde, but small diaphragm condenser microphones generally don't hit the numbers for self noise of large diaphragm condenser microphones. So I'm just going to be quiet for a second again on the RØde. Probably be some birds chirping though. And now we are back over to the Schoeps, and I'm now just going to be quiet on the Schoeps. So there you go then. What do I think of the microphone? Just initial impressions. Really wish this was a mesh pop filter. Find that it's a little bit big, although I've managed to get it quite close. Sorry if there were any plosives coming through, because I have got it really rammed right up on there so you can see my face. So would have preferred to have seen that proper, you know, the mesh shock mount with it. Obviously it's not really RØde's fault that I don't have the software to test this at launch, but there's still things that I would still make complaints of even if I had that software. So not having a light to see if the DSP is on, so anyone that would have received this yesterday, maybe they bought one as well, they're not going to know that the DSP is actively turned on in the microphone when it was plugged in via USB-C. So that's a bit of a concern for me. That's probably a bigger concern for me than not having a headphone jack, because, you know, people that are new to audio recording, they might not notice it. They might just think, oh great, it's, you know, it's dead quiet, it's silent all the time. But I was clapping, fully clapping here, and I wasn't getting anything on a waveform. So that's a little bit annoying. Now, once you have the RØde Central and Connect app up and running, which you will have if you receive this microphone next week, you are going to be able to monitor it on those applications. And even on RØde Connect, it does offer an ultra low latency mode, but it's still not the real-time latency that I would want for this. I kind of see the 32-bit float as more of a backup. I think that's probably what this is for this microphone. If you are somewhere where you are going to be recording very loud sources, or if you've got a vocalist that goes from very quiets to very highs, and maybe you're new to this and you just need to focus on other things, that's where this is going to be good. I would still set your levels with it. Even when I plugged this into the MacBook, I still had it so my peaks are at minus 12 dBA. But yeah, what's not to like really, because they've just took the RØde NT1 capsule, added a crap load of internals, added some DSP, added a USB interface. You know, it's easy to make complaints, but the fact is, at the end of the day, it's the same price as what the RØde NT1 was costing before, especially in America. In the UK, it's about 30 or 40 pounds more, but I would pay that just as a backup. You know, the fact that you can just plug USB in with this, you can take it anywhere with you, you can travel around with it. I'd probably get something a bit stronger than a slipcase, and I'd definitely buy the black version, because this silver version just looks like a RØde NT1A, which is a cheaper microphone, and I want it to look a little bit more premium. As always, I just waffle at the end of the video. Let me know your thoughts on the microphone, if it's something that you're thinking about buying, and I will do some tests next week running this on USB-C as well. I'm going to take you through all the DSP stuff, all of the software, and show you all of that stuff. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll be back with some more content very soon.